Every day, we encounter subtle forms of manipulation, sometimes so discreet that we barely notice them. Narcissists, in particular, are masters at weaving these tactics into ordinary conversations, making their influence feel natural and almost invisible. Recognizing these patterns isn't just about protecting yourself. It's about gaining the confidence to navigate social situations with clarity. When you understand how these techniques work, you become less vulnerable to hidden agendas and more empowered in your interactions. Imagine walking into a room and sensing when someone is trying to steer your emotions or decisions. This awareness transforms not only your relationships, but also your sense of control in everyday life. Narcissism is characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of genuine empathy for others. People with narcissistic traits often dominate conversations, steer attention toward themselves, and dismiss the feelings or perspectives of those around them. In social situations, you might notice them exaggerating achievements or subtly undermining others to maintain their own status. These behaviors can create tension, making authentic connection and trust difficult. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in understanding how narcissism influences group dynamics and personal relationships. By observing these subtle cues, you can better navigate interactions and protect your own confidence and well-being. Manipulation works because it taps into our basic psychological needs, like the desire for approval, belonging, and certainty. Techniques such as the mirror technique subtly build trust by reflecting someone's behavior, making them feel understood. The yes ladder, on the other hand, uses small agreements to pave the way for bigger requests, leveraging our natural tendency to stay consistent. Manipulators often use phrases like "because" to justify their requests, which makes their intentions seem reasonable and less suspicious. These strategies are effective because they operate below our conscious awareness, blending in with normal social interactions. That's why manipulation is so hard to spot. It feels familiar, even friendly, until you realize your choices weren't entirely your own. Narcissists often manipulate others for reasons that go deeper than simple malice. At the core, their actions are driven by insecurity, a constant need to protect their fragile self-esteem. By controlling situations and people, they feel a sense of power and validation that they struggle to find within themselves. Manipulation becomes a tool to maintain their image, avoid criticism, and ensure they remain the center of attention. This need for control can manifest in subtle ways, like twisting conversations or using guilt to influence decisions. Ultimately, their behavior is less about you and more about their own internal battles with self-worth and fear of vulnerability. Gaslighting is a subtle yet powerful tactic where someone tries to make you question your own perceptions and memories. Imagine recalling a conversation only to be told, with confidence, that it never happened or that you misunderstood entirely. Over time, this can erode your trust in your own judgment. The person using this technique often appears calm and certain, which makes their version of reality seem more believable. This manipulation can leave you feeling confused, anxious, and dependent on their perspective. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to protecting your sense of reality and self-confidence. The mirror technique is a subtle yet powerful way to build trust and influence in any interaction. By reflecting the emotions, tone, or body language of the person you're speaking with, you create an immediate sense of connection. Imagine you're in a conversation and you notice the other person is speaking softly and seems a bit reserved. If you match their energy and mirror their calmness, they'll feel understood and more comfortable opening up. This technique works because people naturally trust those who seem similar to themselves. When used thoughtfully, mirroring can help diffuse tension, foster empathy, and make your influence feel effortless. The key is to keep it natural. Small adjustments in your behavior can make a big difference in how others respond to you. The yes ladder is a subtle technique that helps you guide someone toward agreement step by step. It starts with small, easy questions or requests that are almost impossible to refuse. Each time the person says yes, they become more comfortable and open to the conversation. As you build this momentum, you can introduce slightly bigger requests, and you'll notice that people are far more likely to agree. Imagine asking a colleague for a quick opinion, then a small favor, and finally support on a larger project. This method works because each yes creates a sense of consistency and trust, Use the yes ladder to make your interactions smoother and your influence stronger. Here's a simple trick that instantly boosts your influence. Use the word because. When you make a request and add a reason, even a basic one, people are far more likely to say yes. Imagine asking a colleague, "Could you send me that file because I need it for the meeting?" The justification, no matter how small, makes your request seem logical and fair. Psychologists call this the power of justification. It taps into our natural tendency to look for reasons before agreeing to something. Try it out in everyday conversations and you'll notice people become more receptive and cooperative. Playing the victim is a subtle social trick that often goes unnoticed. When someone shifts blame and seeks sympathy, they cleverly deflect responsibility for their actions. Imagine a colleague who, instead of admitting a mistake, emphasizes how overwhelmed they've been, inviting others to feel sorry for them. This tactic can disarm criticism and redirect focus away from the real issue. It's effective because most people instinctively want to comfort rather than confront. Recognizing this pattern helps you stay grounded and respond with clarity, rather than getting swept up in misplaced empathy. The key is to separate genuine vulnerability from strategic self-pity. Love bombing is a powerful psychological tactic where someone showers you with excessive attention, compliments, and affection. At first, it feels flattering, almost intoxicating. You might find yourself thinking, "No one has ever made me feel this special." But beneath the surface, this flood of positivity is designed to create emotional dependency. The goal is to make you crave their approval and presence, so that you become more vulnerable to their influence. Over time, you may notice that your boundaries start to blur, and you rely on their validation to feel good about yourself. Recognizing love bombing is the first step to protecting your autonomy and maintaining healthy relationships. The silent treatment is a subtle but powerful tactic often used to influence others. By deliberately withholding communication, a person can create discomfort or uncertainty, making the other party feel anxious or eager to regain approval. This method isn't about solving problems, it's about control. When someone suddenly stops responding, it can leave you second-guessing your actions and questioning your worth. Recognizing this behavior is the first step to protecting your confidence and maintaining healthy boundaries. Remember, genuine connection thrives on open dialogue, not on silence used as a weapon. Triangulation is a subtle technique where you introduce a third person into a social dynamic to shift the balance of attention. Imagine you're in a conversation and you briefly mention someone else's interest or involvement. This naturally sparks a sense of competition or curiosity in your listener. The key is not to provoke insecurity, but to gently highlight your own value by showing that others appreciate your qualities too. Used thoughtfully, triangulation can boost your perceived desirability and make interactions more engaging. It's a psychological nudge that taps into our instinct to value what others find valuable. Just remember, the goal is to create intrigue, not discomfort. Projection is a subtle psychological trick where someone accuses you of the very behaviors they're guilty of themselves. Imagine a colleague who's constantly late, but suddenly blames you for being unreliable. This tactic shifts attention away from their own actions and puts you on the defensive. Recognizing projection helps you stay grounded and avoid unnecessary guilt. Instead of reacting emotionally, pause and reflect on the facts. By calmly addressing the real issue, you maintain your confidence and prevent manipulation from taking hold. The key is to trust your own perspective and not let someone else's accusations distort your reality. Minimizing is a subtle tactic where someone downplays your feelings or concerns, making them seem less important than they truly are. Imagine sharing a worry with a friend, only to hear, "It's not that big of a deal," or "You're overreacting." This approach can leave you doubting your own emotions and questioning your perspective. Over time, repeated minimizing can erode your confidence and make you hesitant to express yourself. Recognizing this behavior is the first step to protecting your emotional well-being. When you notice someone consistently minimizing your experiences, remember that your feelings are valid and deserve respect. Intermittent reinforcement is a powerful psychological principle. Instead of rewarding someone every single time, you offer rewards unpredictably. This taps into our brain's natural curiosity and desire for novelty, making the behavior much harder to let go of. Think about checking your phone for messages. You never know when you'll get a notification, so you keep coming back. This technique is used everywhere, from social media apps to slot machines, because it keeps people engaged and wanting more. Understanding how intermittent rewards work can help you recognize when you're being influenced and give you back control over your attention and habits. Blame shifting is a subtle technique where someone redirects responsibility for a mistake or problem onto another person, effectively dodging accountability. Imagine a colleague who, when confronted about a missed deadline, quickly points out that the instructions were unclear or that someone else failed to provide necessary information. This tactic can create confusion and defensiveness, making it harder for others to address the real issue. Recognizing blame shifting is crucial for maintaining honest communication and ensuring that problems are solved rather than perpetuated. By staying alert to this pattern, you can respond with clarity and keep the conversation focused on solutions, rather than getting caught up in a cycle of excuses. Stonewalling is a subtle yet powerful tactic where someone simply refuses to engage or answer questions. Imagine asking a direct question and being met with silence, a blank stare, or a vague deflection. This technique can create discomfort, uncertainty, and even frustration in the other person. By withholding a response, the stonewaller maintains control over the conversation and forces others to reconsider their approach. It's often used to avoid confrontation, delay decisions, or steer the dynamic in their favor. Recognizing stonewalling helps you stay calm, avoid taking it personally, and decide whether to persist or pivot your strategy. Future faking is a subtle yet powerful technique often used to influence and manipulate. It involves making promises about exciting plans, opportunities, or changes that will supposedly happen in the future, but with no real intention of following through. Imagine someone telling you, "Next month, we'll start that big project together," or "Soon, you'll get that promotion." Yet these promises never materialize. The goal is to keep you invested, hopeful, and compliant, all while maintaining control. Recognizing future faking can help you avoid being strung along by empty words and focus instead on actions that match intentions. When you spot this pattern, ask for specifics or timelines, and pay attention to repeated delays or vague commitments. Trust is built on consistency, not on promises that never come to life. Playing dumb is a subtle tactic people use to sidestep responsibility. By pretending not to understand a request or a situation, they create confusion and shift the burden back onto others. Imagine someone at work who claims they didn't receive an important email, even though you know they did. This approach can buy time, deflect blame, or avoid tasks altogether. It's not about lacking intelligence. It's a deliberate choice to appear uninformed. Recognizing this trick is key to maintaining clear boundaries and ensuring accountability in your interactions. Guilt tripping is a subtle tactic where someone tries to make you feel responsible for their emotions or actions. Imagine a friend saying, "If you really cared, you'd come to my party," placing the weight of their happiness squarely on your shoulders. This approach leverages your empathy, nudging you to act out of obligation rather than genuine desire. Recognizing guilt tripping is key to maintaining healthy boundaries. When you spot it, pause and ask yourself, are you truly responsible for how this person feels? By separating your actions from their emotions, you regain control and avoid being manipulated by misplaced guilt. A smear campaign is a subtle yet powerful tactic where someone spreads rumors or misleading stories to undermine your reputation. This technique often operates quietly, making it difficult to trace the source or confront the person responsible. The real danger lies in how quickly negative perceptions can spread, especially in close-knit groups or workplaces. You might notice people treating you differently or hear whispers that don't match your reality. Recognizing the signs early is crucial. By staying calm, addressing misinformation directly, and maintaining your integrity, you can limit the damage. Remember, your consistent actions over time are the strongest defense against false narratives. Flattery is more than just a kind word. It's a subtle tactic used to influence your emotions and decisions. When someone showers you with excessive compliments, it can feel uplifting, but it's also designed to lower your defenses. You might find yourself more open, more agreeable, and less likely to question their motives. This technique works because we all crave validation, and hearing praise can trigger a sense of trust, even if it's not deserved. The key is to recognize when compliments cross the line from genuine appreciation to manipulation. By staying aware, you can enjoy positive feedback without letting it cloud your judgment. Withholding is a subtle yet powerful tactic often used to influence behavior. Imagine someone deliberately denying you affection, attention, or even basic resources, not out of necessity, but as a way to gain control. This approach can make you feel anxious or desperate to regain their approval, pushing you to comply with their wishes. It's a form of psychological leverage, turning your natural need for connection into a tool for manipulation. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. Once you see it, you can step back and assess the situation more objectively. Remember, genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and support, not on conditional rewards. Moving the goalposts is a subtle tactic where someone keeps shifting expectations, making it impossible for you to feel like you've succeeded. Imagine working hard to meet a deadline, only to be told the standards have changed just as you finish. This constant adjustment can leave you feeling inadequate, no matter how much effort you put in. The trick is designed to undermine your confidence and keep you chasing approval that never comes. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to protecting your self-worth. When you notice expectations changing without clear reason, pause and question the fairness of the situation. By setting your own benchmarks, you regain control and stop playing a game you can't win. Playing favorites is a subtle social maneuver that can quickly create divisions within a group. When someone consistently gives special treatment to certain individuals, it sends a clear message about who holds influence and who does not. This technique can foster competition, insecurity, and even resentment among those who feel excluded. Imagine a manager who always praises the same team members, leaving others feeling undervalued. Over time, these divisions erode trust and collaboration. Recognizing this pattern is key to maintaining healthy relationships and a balanced environment. If you sense favoritism, consider how it shapes group dynamics and your own sense of belonging. Sometimes, a simple sorry can do more than just smooth over a mistake. It can reset the entire dynamic of a conversation. The trick here is the false apology. You apologize not because you genuinely feel remorse, but because it shifts the emotional balance. Imagine someone is frustrated with you. Offering a quick, casual apology can diffuse tension, even if you don't truly believe you're at fault. This tactic isn't about deception. It's about regaining control and moving the interaction forward. Used wisely, a false apology can help you steer conversations away from conflict and towards resolution. Just remember, it's most effective when your goal is to restore connection, not to manipulate. Pathological lying goes beyond the occasional white lie. It's a pattern where someone habitually twists the truth, often to manipulate how others see them or to control a situation. Imagine a colleague who invents stories about their achievements, not just once, but every time you talk. Over time, these fabrications can shape the reality of a group, influencing opinions and decisions. The danger lies in how convincing these lies can be, especially when repeated with confidence. Recognizing habitual dishonesty is crucial because it erodes trust and can distort your perception of what's real. Stay alert to patterns and remember, genuine connection is built on honesty, not illusion. Everyone has insecurities, whether they admit it or not. These hidden fears often shape our decisions and reactions, sometimes without us even realizing. When someone subtly highlights your doubts about your abilities, your appearance, or your social standing, they can gain a surprising amount of influence over you. For example, a colleague might mention how competitive the job market is, making you second-guess your own position. This technique isn't about open confrontation. It's about planting seeds of uncertainty that make you more likely to seek approval or guidance. Recognizing when your insecurities are being used against you is the first step in regaining control. Once you spot it, you can respond with confidence and avoid falling into the trap. Overcomplicating is a subtle tactic used to make simple issues appear far more complex than they actually are. When someone starts layering unnecessary details or jargon, it's easy to feel confused or overwhelmed. This confusion can make you doubt your own judgment and rely more on the person presenting the information. The trick works because complexity creates uncertainty, and uncertainty leads to hesitation. Next time you notice a conversation getting tangled in needless complexity, pause and ask yourself, what's the core issue here? By stripping away the excess, you'll regain clarity and confidence in your decisions. Selective memory is a subtle yet powerful social skill. Imagine someone who recalls only the details that support their point of view, quietly shaping conversations to fit their narrative. This isn't about lying. It's about highlighting certain facts while conveniently forgetting others. You might notice it when a colleague remembers every time their idea succeeded, but forgets the setbacks. This technique can influence group decisions, build confidence, and even sway opinions without direct confrontation. By mastering selective memory, people can guide discussions, reinforce their image, and maintain control over how they're perceived. It's a reminder that what we choose to remember can be just as influential as what we say. Emotional blackmail is a subtle yet powerful tactic where someone uses threats or ultimatums to influence your decisions. It might sound like, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this," or "If you don't agree, I'll have no choice but to walk away." This approach leverages your emotions, especially guilt or fear, to push you into actions you might not be comfortable with. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to protecting your boundaries. When you spot emotional blackmail, pause and ask yourself if the request is fair or if you're being pressured. Remember, healthy relationships are built on respect and open communication, not on threats or manipulation. Playing the hero is a subtle social trick where someone creates a problem only to swoop in and solve it, making themselves look indispensable. Imagine a colleague who complicates a process, then offers the perfect solution, earning praise for their resourcefulness. This technique taps into our natural tendency to value problem solvers, even when the problem was artificial. It's a way to build influence and credibility quickly, but it's important to recognize when it's being used on you. By understanding this dynamic, you can avoid being manipulated and focus on genuine collaboration. True confidence comes from solving real challenges, not manufactured ones. Boundary testing is a subtle tactic people use to gauge how much you'll accept or tolerate. Imagine a colleague who starts by making a small request, then gradually asks for more, just to see where your limits lie. This isn't always malicious. It's often a way for others to understand your boundaries. The key is to notice when someone is gently pushing past your comfort zone. By recognizing these moments, you can respond confidently and set clear limits. This not only protects your well-being, but also signals to others that you value and respect yourself. The more aware you are of boundary testing, the easier it becomes to maintain healthy, balanced relationships. Discrediting is a subtle tactic often used to undermine your credibility without direct confrontation. Imagine someone casually questioning your expertise in a group or making a joke that casts doubt on your reliability. These small gestures can plant seeds of uncertainty, causing others to second-guess your competence. The trick lies in its subtlety. Rarely is it overt or aggressive. Recognizing these moments is crucial, as they can erode your confidence and influence over time. By staying alert and responding calmly, you protect your reputation and maintain control of the narrative. Manipulation often hides in plain sight, but there are clear signs you can learn to recognize. Watch for someone who constantly uses flattery or guilt to sway your decisions. These are classic tactics. If you notice that conversations always seem to steer toward what benefits them, or they pressure you to say yes before you're ready, that's a red flag. Pay attention to vague promises or shifting stories. Manipulators rarely offer concrete details. If you feel rushed, confused, or doubting your own judgment after interacting with someone, pause and reflect. Trust your instincts. Unease is often your mind's way of signaling something isn't right. By spotting these patterns early, you can protect your boundaries and respond with confidence. Repeated manipulation doesn't just chip away at your mood, it quietly undermines your confidence. Each time someone twists your words or actions for their own benefit, you start to doubt your own judgment. Over time, you may notice yourself second-guessing decisions you used to make with ease. Trust in others becomes fragile, but even more damaging is the loss of trust in yourself. The result is a cycle where self-esteem drops, making you more vulnerable to further manipulation. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking free and rebuilding your sense of self-worth. Understanding subtle social skills isn't just about getting what you want. It's about building genuine connections. Techniques like the mirror technique or the yes ladder help you tune into others' emotions, making conversations smoother and more meaningful. When you apply these tricks, you'll notice people respond with more openness and trust. It's not manipulation. It's about creating a space where both sides feel heard and respected. Setting boundaries becomes easier too, because you communicate with clarity and confidence. Over time, these skills strengthen your relationships, helping you navigate tricky situations while staying true to yourself. You'll feel more connected, more influential, and more secure in your interactions. Protecting yourself from manipulation starts with recognizing the subtle tactics others might use. One practical defense is to pause before responding to requests, giving yourself time to assess the situation and your true feelings. Use the say because technique. Ask for clear reasons behind any demand, which often exposes hidden motives. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Setting boundaries confidently and expressing them clearly helps you maintain control. Remember, you're not obligated to say yes to everything. By staying aware and practicing these simple strategies, you'll build resilience against manipulation and strengthen your sense of autonomy. Rebuilding confidence after manipulation starts with recognizing what happened and accepting your feelings without judgment. Begin by setting small, achievable goals. Each success, no matter how minor, helps restore your sense of control. Surround yourself with supportive people who respect your boundaries and encourage your growth. Practice techniques like the mirror technique. Stand tall, look yourself in the eye, and affirm your strengths daily. Use the yes ladder by celebrating every positive decision you make, reinforcing your ability to choose for yourself. Remember, confidence is rebuilt step by step, and every effort you make is a sign of resilience. Over time, you'll notice your self-assurance returning, stronger and more authentic than before. Empathy and manipulation may seem similar on the surface, but their intentions set them worlds apart. Empathy is about genuinely understanding another person's feelings, stepping into their shoes, and responding with care. Manipulation, on the other hand, uses insight into emotions to control or influence others for personal gain. When you choose empathy, you build trust and connection. People feel seen and valued. This is a quiet strength. It opens doors, deepens relationships, and fosters collaboration. Unlike manipulation, which often leads to resentment and broken trust, empathy creates lasting bonds. In everyday interactions, leaning into empathy means you're not just influencing others. You're empowering them. Picture yourself in a hallway, chatting with a colleague who seems unusually persuasive. They use phrases like, "Everyone agrees with this," or "You'd do this for me, right?" Classic examples of subtle manipulation. Instead of feeling pressured, pause and recognize these tactics. Respond confidently by asking for specifics or stating your own perspective clearly. Techniques like the mirror technique can help you reflect their words back, making them reconsider their approach. By staying calm and assertive, you shift the dynamic, showing that you're not easily influenced. This not only protects your boundaries, but also builds your confidence in everyday interactions. It's normal to feel anxious, confused, or even doubtful in social situations. These emotions aren't just obstacles, they're signals. When you notice a wave of anxiety or uncertainty, it's your mind alerting you to something important. Instead of ignoring these feelings, try to observe them. Recognizing them gives you a chance to pause and reflect, rather than react impulsively. This simple shift can help you respond with more confidence and clarity. Over time, you'll see these emotional cues as tools for growth, not barriers to connection. Setting boundaries is about making your needs clear, without apology or hesitation. Start by stating your limits simply and directly. No need for elaborate explanations. For example, you can say, "I'm not available after 8 p.m., or "I need some quiet time right now." The key is consistency. Repeating your boundaries calmly reinforces them. If someone pushes back, use the broken record technique. Repeat your limit with the same wording and tone. Remember, boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about respecting yourself. When you assert your limits confidently, you'll notice more respect and less stress in your interactions. Sometimes, the most powerful step you can take for your well-being is simply reaching out. Whether it's a close friend who listens without judgment or a professional trained to help, sharing your thoughts can lighten the load. Human connection is a fundamental need, and seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. Trusted people offer perspective, encouragement, and practical advice that you might not see on your own. By opening up, you create space for understanding and solutions to emerge. Remember, everyone faces challenges, and you don't have to navigate them alone. Recognizing manipulation is the first step toward protecting your confidence and your connections. When you spot subtle tactics, you gain the power to resist their influence and make choices that truly reflect your values. Remember, these skills aren't just about defense. They're about building genuine trust and asserting your own boundaries. Every time you stand firm, you reinforce your sense of self and your ability to navigate social situations with clarity. Embrace this awareness, and you'll find yourself rising above manipulation, feeling more secure and in control of your interactions.